Hey guys, Destiny Ray here. I am going to we'll go over this quick webinar with you. Thank you for showing up here. The workshop is showing you guys how you can write off everyday expenses even without a business. Most of my clients know about having a trust and there is a common misconception that the only way you can write off things is if you have a business. A business is not the only source of income, and neither are W-2s for that matter. So they often think that they can't write everything off. The good thing about this is that you guys are able to write off dollar for dollar, whereas usually you'd only be able to write off a percentage. You'd only be able to write off a percentage. So, you guys can watch this webinar and I'm gonna walk you through the different things that you need, how this applies to you. We're not gonna get too technical. This isn't a course or a class. It's just really to show you um, how you can be able to do this for yourself. So, guys, this is your typical tax preparer. She's sweet, she's charming, she's well intentioned, but by no means can she actually help you plan ahead to navigate the tax battlefield and become eligible for like more tax deductions or even go beyond the run of the mill child tax credits. This will never get you the biggest tax return you deserve or your liability. In most cases, I see colleagues in the industry from other companies laugh their clients out of their offices because at max they had a W-2 return that said nothing was withheld. And they literally couldn't do anything with it. I'm like, well, you can send them over to me, okay? Because um, that's not the only way you can get, a tax return. So it's very important that you actually go through and get an actual tax, professional, someone who's knowledgeable in different foundations for like banking and like the actual credits, the planning, which is strategizing, and not just the average, basically data entry specialist, which come through as quote unquote, and I'm doing air quotes if you could imagine right now. Um, but this, guys, this is a tax monkey and accounting tax pro. You can get a consult, and you actually can strategize and plan on how to qualify for more or for bigger credits and deductions. Um, Tax preparation is taking what you have currently, but we also have available where you can strategize. That is a program where we would meet with you throughout the year. And because we are a legal and professional company, our firm, we are able to write off your um, expenses. So you're essentially getting it for little to nothing. So that's better than trying to save money, quote unquote, with self-filing and TurboTax. Because if you watch their commercials, it literally tells you that it's for simple returns and that they're limited credits and deductions. And so that means off the bat, automatically, your return is going to be smaller just because of that. That's the difference between having a simple graphing calculator with plus, add, or like with plus, minus, subtraction, division, like we had in elementary versus that scientific calculator that we had in like high school and college that can do parabolas, that can do logarithms, that can do a whole bunch of other things that a simple calculator just cannot. It even give you a different answer for submitting some of the same mathematical arguments. But how is this possible though? How are you able to claim credits or get money back from my everyday bills? Well, let's start here. Have you ever called into your service provider and asked them not to bill your account due to things like non-use? You've heard things about the billing error status or some other reason? I'm pretty sure you have. Well, How about calling into your bank about an item or service that you paid for but you didn't receive and you want to get the refund or provisional credit? And what about at the register? You only have $43, but your ticket is $67, but it still goes through. But how? Stingy banks make you quote unquote apply or beg for money and often deny you. It's many consumer laws and plenty information that has been getting shared out these past few years that actually, in even in the modern money mechanics will tell you that banks are not allowed to lend their own money, that they aren't lending you anything actually, and that they are security agreements, like your mortgage, like your credit card, your monthly bill statements, anything that you technically have to give your social security number for in order to qualify for it, or it could end up on your credit report. Um, the money is ultimately coming from us. But again, we're not going to get too technical on it. It's coming, the money is coming from the same place that the tax refunds come from. Credit card companies and utility companies will disconnect or even close your account without you paying additional, but they still are getting paid on the back end, withholding these credits because you have effectively abandoned them by not asking them to credit your account. Not only will they keep it report a loss, but they'll also close your account out and report you to the credit reporting agencies. Notice I didn't say bureaus, but the credit reporting agencies, um, stating that you owed a debt. Now, the question is, how do these companies get the money or get paid if they can credit everyone any amount every time where the customer can still keep the service and stay in business? Hmm? How can they afford to credit everyone's account? Where does this money come from for credit card rewards? Okay. How can overdraft programs afford every single customer's purchase? Hmm? How about this? How can emergency rooms in the US still be obligated to take in patients with or without insurance and still be in business? And I'm not just talking about self pay, guys, because not everybody who goes to the hospital even has that option. If you're starting to question these things and you're seeking answers, then you're in the right direction. It's because, you've guessed it, they are already withholding these credits from your account from the very beginning. You'd be correct if you guessed that. So, the important question is, how do you write off these everyday expenses? Well, the answer is simple, by filing a tax return. But Destiny, how do I do that? Well, you guys could submit a copy of these to us as proof of purchase or indebtedness. You can send things, there are different types of recoupments because that's what they're called. Um, you can send in receipts. You can send in the bill statements, which goes by a number of different names. You can send in your loan or your credit card agreement or your lease. Okay. Proof that you actually had the contract. And what you want to start doing is, we need to start gathering and making the documents that go on your actual tax return. Now, in order for us to create the paper trail for these credits that are being withheld from your account, we need to create documents for you. And the fee is $200 per account. And you can get back, like if you paid $7,000 in into the year, or if you've had the account open for plenty of years, you only pay $200 for that account, and we'll get you that $7,000 back, or however much it is. We do have a document fee that it is paid up front because we have to get that going and started to be able to put on the actual tax return. Um, so how does that work? Well, it's just as simple as us sending some things off in a process. So your return isn't going to be as quick as if you just went through and, uh, you filed the expenses from a business or from a hobby or activity, um, any side gig that you had, any contracts or W-2s that you might have had. Um, so, because there's a process between that, but you will get a much bigger return. And then we do have a recovery in our tax prep fees for actually doing the tax return. The fees come from the actual return, so you don't have to pay anything up front, other than the document fees. If you have an amendment, and you need a prior years to be caught up, typically, those are paid up front, but we have made it an option to take the fees if your return is big enough from the current year and you just pay the balance out of pocket. But because we get this question all the time, no, there's not a flat rate because not everybody gets the same service, but we start at $450. And again, the tax prep and the recoupment fees for those credits that are withheld are paid from the return. And we do quote you on what the tax prep fees are before we send those things off. So here's what we need from you. Whether you are filing recoupment or not, everyone filing needs to list all their sources of income. That includes any W-2s, the various 1099s. If you have a business, you need to provide your profit and loss statements from your business. You need to list all your expenses, whether they're personal, from a job, a school, a hobby, side gig, or your business, or any dependents. You need to list the dependents and their income, if any. Dependents could be a relative or friend or someone over the age of 18 if they have a disability, if they are your actual children by adoption or biologically or stepchildren. They can be up to 25 and in college. Other than that, you just need a proof of photo ID, which could be a state ID, a passport, or a driver's license, and preferably your social security card, or your dependents. If if you are writing off expenses for recoupment, you also need to add on the $200 document fee per bill, or account, because some people have a misunderstanding about the account situation. So if it's with a different company and or it refers to a different account, like you can have two credit cards with the same company. Those are two different accounts. If you have a W-2 and you're trying to get the money, the salary back, because also employers also withhold the credits from your from the account that they have with you as well. If you're trying to get the W-2 recoupment back, that's also considered an account. You need the account info, which would be obviously the account number, um, things like that, the type of account, and the status, whether it's open or closed, and for how long. And then the last thing you'd need is the vendor or merchant info, that is filled on our submission form, or our staff or our support team will be able to get that information from you to help you fill it out. Because sometimes people have had, problems filling this form out because it's a new concept to you. Now, guys, here is what we are responsible for. We only prepare and submit the paperwork. We cannot force the IRS to hurry up and process it. They are not perfect by a long shot. They lose documents. They give erroneous written advice. So sometimes, you have to go in and, professionally put your foot in their butt to kind of, hey, this is incorrect, or sometimes resubmit things a certain number of times. But we do not process the return to get you your money back. Okay. We do not, again, I can't stress this enough. We do not process the actual returns. That is the IRS's job. We have no control over the time limit, any audits, if you owe for things, whether you knew or not, if you have any offsets or anything else. We will charge you for any assistance after initial submission that is not our fault, such as IRS requesting more documents, making corrections, etc. That's essentially the same as if you were getting audit protection. Okay, you'd need to get audit protection, uh, and they charge this is standard fee that the industry charges either per hour or by task. Because you are the ones having the account, and you know you should be able to answer the simple questions by submitting the paperwork. Usually they just want to have, you know, the copy sent over again, or they want to have something you might not have had at the time. Like you might not have had the actual contract, but you had the information from the account, things like that. So, because we've come to the end, we did want to make sure that this webinar is very short and to the point. I want to give you guys a free gift for attending this webinar. I'm going to give you $50 off of your filing. You want to be sure to ask your tax pro advisor about this voucher. Okay. And because a lot of our clients are so gracious for the service that we offer, because you can't find this anywhere else. They tend to bring us referrals because we have been very grateful for you guys' referrals. We've actually raised our referral fee to $75. And you can ask for our referral sheet for your payout to keep log of it in our master list that we have for sending all your friends, and I see that there's a typo, for sending all your friends and family upon the tax deposit only. So when the deposits are paid out, then we'll give you $75. Now, because this webinar is short and to the point, I've answered plenty FAQs and what I like to call SAQs, which are should ask questions. Um, but if you have specific questions like owing a tax debt, needing an amendment, etc., please join our Zoom. I can't possibly answer all scenarios or questions in this webinar. That's not the purpose. And the purpose was not to get all technical and tell you what laws and whatnot coincide with this. This wasn't an educational, like a class. This is an overview of the process and how it can work for you and what we need from you in order to make it happen. Okay, so here's how you get into that webinar. We meet 2 times a day at 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. Central. Here's the meeting code, that meeting passcode, and then we'll let you in. It's just that simple. All right, guys, my name is Destiny Ray. I am the CEO and founder, current CEO, but I'm also the founder of Tax Monkey and Accounting. It was a joy being able to put this together for you guys. I would love to be able to see you guys inside the Zoom if you have questions. And I look forward to paying you guys the $75 for your referrals. And just to be clear, um, we've raised the referral fee based on who you've referred as of today, the 26th of February, 2024. Um, whom you've referred before will be at the old rate, but moving forward will be at 75. Now, okay, guys, that was my time. I'm going to upload this. Um, list so that you guys can have access to that referral list. And I'll see you guys inside.